four things for such conferences. Thank you really for inviting me. But number one, I think for India as a nation to progress, we need to start things on time. Number one. Number two, I think we need to start giving really short introductions, and I specifically told the people, the organizers, not to introduce me and waste 10 minutes on an introduction. And number three, I think we need to get less people on the dais, and I could barely come out of the chairs because there were so many of us on the dais. So all of us know we are well respected and things, but we need less people on the dais and more women on the dais. Really, we need more women in leadership positions. We need, especially in sport, we need more women leaders in the country. So in the future, I would love if we actually have a women sports person coming and speaking for future conferences. For me, I live, eat and breathe sport, and sport has taught me so much in life. Since this is a conference on sports science and coaching, I thought I would focus a little bit on the importance of coaches in my life. And I think at some point of time in our lives, we've all had a teacher, a professor, a mentor, a coach who has made such a big difference in our lives, who has taught us so many valuable things in life. And I wanted to touch upon the importance of coaches. I know a lot of your people over here are physical education teachers, they're coaches, and I just wanted to tell you all what a responsible position all of you all have, how important your role is to actually evolving the future space of Indian sport. Growing up, I remember the year 2001. I was part of the Indian hockey team, and the coach of the Indian hockey team was a gentleman by the name of Cedric D'Souza. Cedric was a very strict coach, little bit ahead of his time, and Cedric had introduced video analysis for the Indian hockey team for analyzing matches. And we were in Cedric's hotel room. The Indian team was going to play Australia the next day. As you know, Australian hockey, like in cricket, is a very strong team. And we were watching the match, and we were dreading when Cedric would press the pause button, because when you look at yourself on the big screen and you make a mistake, you look like an idiot. And when Cedric presses the pause button and puts it in slow motion, you look like a bigger idiot. So there were we, and then Cedric, he presses the pause button and he looks around for Mukesh Kumar. Mukesh, along with Dhanraj Pillai, used to be one of India's top strikers in the Indian team. And Cedric tells Mukesh, आप इतना senior experienced खिलाड़ी है, लेकिन आपने इतना बड़ा गलती किया. देखो ऊपर से साफ दिखाई दे रहे, गैप तो यहाँ पे था, लेकिन आपने पास वहाँ पे दिया. So Mukesh looks at, Cedric tells Mukesh that the gap was over here, but you passed here. So Mukesh asked Cedric, कोच साहब, ये कैमरा कहाँ पे था? You know how in hockey and football the cameras are at a height to give you a bird's eye view of the ground. So Cedric said, कैमरा तो ऊपर था. Mukesh thinks for some time and then he tells Cedric, कोच साहब, जब ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ मैच खेलते हैं ना, अगर ऊपर से मैच देखा तो गैप ही गैप दिखते हैं. नीचे आके ग्राउंड पे खेलो ना, गैप ही नहीं दिखते हैं. And very, very true, very often we look at problems from 10,000 feet up in the air. When you actually come to the ground level, it's very different. And the same was actually, Mukesh said those words which I used to feel the same way. I was a midfielder, centre half, I used to play in the centre of the ground, in the thick of the action. And whenever I got the ball and I looked up, only the yellow shirts were visible. The blue shirts were not visible on me. And because Australia didn't give us time to think, they didn't give us time to breathe, they didn't give us time to look up. And it actually got me thinking, are we training right? Are we preparing right? Are our coaches teaching us the right things? And the answer was sadly no. We were not preparing at the quality and intensity that was required to train to enable us to deal with the pressures of international hockey. And that's why I say every single coach sitting over here, every single physical education teacher, what you teach kids when they are 11, 12, 13 is very important later on in life. And that's why I want to touch a few things on the important aspects of coaches. A good coach can change a game, a great coach can change a life. My coach when I was 12 years old and a little boy in school was a coach by the name of Marcellus Gomes. He also was an Olympian, played for India at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. And he taught me everything I know in hockey. But more than teaching me technical skills, I think he taught me so many values in life. I think values that stand with me till this day. I remember one of the first things he taught me was coming on time for training. One day when I was in the under 12 school team, I woke up late. Training started at 6:30 in the morning and I reached at 7 o'clock for training. He gave me such a firing, I remember it till today. And from that day till now, I've never ever been late for a meeting or for a training session. He taught me the values of discipline, commitment, teamwork, believing in myself. I think these are values that a good coach can really change lives with. Winning the trust of your players. Again, I know from example, when you trust someone, you're willing to give your life for that person. I've had the privilege of playing under many coaches. There was a coach when in 2001 when I was in the junior Indian hockey team, the under 21 World Cup. He also was a former Olympian. His name was Rajinder Singh. He was not the best technical coach, but one thing that he did do was he cared about the players. He cared about them as people first and as athletes later. When we were sick, when we were injured, he was our mother, he was our father, he was everything for us, he looked after us. And I think one of the reasons why in 2001 the Indian hockey team won the Junior World Cup for the first time, because the players were prepared to give their lives for the coach. And I think he had our entire trust. And I think very, very important thing is in life is to win the trust of those of whom you work with. Because if that happens, people are willing to give their lives to you. You know, throughout my entire career as a player, I had a very small vision. My vision was only the next match and the next tournament. As a player, I never really thought about what would happen in the future. But now in my new role where Olympic Gold Quest, the not-for-profit organization which we are part of, we look after the training and preparation of India's best athletes preparing for the Olympics. I realized the importance of showing the pathway to players to look ahead for the future, to make them believe in the process which will help them for the future. And I think, like I say, it's important to show young athletes, to show young players where they can be in life. Not worry too much about the present, but actually understand the little baby steps that we need to take to make things happen for the future. A great coach tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. There's a big difference between what athletes want and what is actually needed. One of the things that is really needed is to sometimes tell players things that they really don't want to hear. One of the things that players need to be told is to be disciplined, to play for the team and not to play for individuals. And I think these are very hard conversations that need to be done. It's easy when things are going well, it's easy when you're winning, but the tougher conversations are when you really need to tell the star players or a star athlete that you're actually doing rubbish and what you're doing will not really get you anywhere in the long run. Those are the tougher questions, and as coaches, as physical education teachers, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and also say the hard things and not always the goody things. Being strict, being a disciplinarian will, the old saying is spare the rod and spoil the child. And I'm not saying that we have to use the rod, but I'm definitely saying that we have maintaining discipline definitely has its merits. One of the greatest coaches in world hockey was a gentleman by the name of Rick Charlesworth. He was the former he was the former Australian hockey captain, Australian hockey coach. He won 2 Olympic gold medals as the Australian women's hockey coach. He was the technical director of Indian men's hockey, and he had a very interesting saying. The interesting thing about coaching is that you have to trouble the comfortable and comfort the troubled. In sport, when you get into a comfort zone, I think that's the time to start worrying. When you feel that everything is okay, when you're comfortably sailing through, to win at the highest level, it never goes according to plan A. Sometimes never according to plan B as well. You always have to push the limits. You always have to get players out of a comfort zone. And that's the time. It's important for the coach to care for the players when they're going through hard times, but it's also important to ensure that players are never satisfied. And one of the reasons why I think Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal and Djokovic really have been doing so well for such longevity is because they are pushing themselves to the limit every single day in training in the morning. They say an Olympic gold medal is not won on that one day when 1 billion people are watching. It's won every single day at 5:30 in the morning when no one is watching. And I think that is very important. The little steps that we take every single day to push self to the limit, to maintain quality of every single training session, that's something that's really important. And finally, for me, I've always respected teachers and coaches so much because, like I said, a coach can have so much impact on lives. I still remember that maths teacher in school. I was really weak in maths in school, and she took the trouble to take me separately outside class and teach me the maths work that I could not understand in school. I still remember my childhood coach who made me believe in myself. They have not just impacted my lives, but I'm sure they impacted thousands of lives. They don't remember every student that passed through the doors, but I'm sure all those thousands of students remember them. So I think we need to really take pride in being a coach, in being a teacher, in being a physical education teacher. I think there's so much value, you'll have so much responsibility in terms of the impact on young lives that you can have. I just want to end with 3 short lessons that I have learned through my playing career. After I retired from the Indian hockey team, I went to Germany to play for 1 year. I was playing for a club in Stuttgart. I was only 18 when I was in the Indian hockey team. And in India, when you're a junior, you're only meant to be seen and not heard. When I was the Indian team, I couldn't imagine giving my opinion in a team meeting. I couldn't imagine contributing to team strategy. When I went to Germany to play in the Bundesliga, which is one of the strongest hockey leagues in the world, with some of the best players in the world playing, I was the captain of my team was the then German captain. He had won 2 World Cup gold medals. The youngest member of the team was a 16-year-old German boy. I was really delighted to see that everyone got a chance to speak in the team meetings, and very often that young boy always got a chance to speak, and very often what he said would be successfully implemented during the match, very successfully implemented during the match. And for me, it taught me 2 things. That one, we need to have an opinion in the first place, and number 2, we need to start respecting each other's opinions. Because very often, the most creative idea can sometimes come from the perceptively the youngest or the weakest member in the team. So when I say about creating the right team environment, all of us work in teams. Very few of us have the luxury of working in isolation. And I'm touching upon the aspect of communication, but it's very important to create that environment where everyone has freedom to give their opinions out. I'm sure most of you all have heard of Steve Waugh. Steve Waugh, for me, is not just one of the greatest cricket captains, but one of the greatest leaders across all sport. When the Australian cricket team won the '99 Cricket World Cup, Steve Waugh had a philosophy during that World Cup. Before the World Cup started, he gathered the entire Australian cricket team, not just the players, but the coaching staff, the support team, physio, trainer, nutritionist, mental trainer, the chef. He brought them all together and they made a promise that every single team meeting, every single training session, every single match, everyone would give 100% and then they would have no regrets. And I think for me that was a very powerful philosophy, because if every single member of his team gives 100% every single day, then it's very difficult to get beaten. If you're concentrated, if you're focused, I think we give it everything we have, then there's no need really to have regrets in life, and results will always take care of itself. I'm sure some of y'all or many of y'all will be cricket fans, and this picture over here, can anyone raise their hands and tell me this picture is from which cricket match? Does anyone know? Can anyone raise their hands and tell me? This picture is from the 2001 Test match, India versus Australia. It was a very famous Test series. Australia were the world champions at that time. The bowler on the right hand side is Glenn McGrath. This was the Test match in Chennai. It was a 3-match Test series. Australia won the first Test at Mumbai. They thrashed India. In the second Test match, India were down by a follow-on, and then Dravid and Lakshman made that famous partnership, and India went on to win that second Test match at Eden Gardens in Kolkata. In the third match in Chennai, India were chasing a score of around 155 in the final innings of the final Test match against the world champions Australia. We were down 8 wickets, and the 9th and 10th wicket pair, in the middle, that is Harbhajan Singh. Does anyone know who the guy on the left is? Can anyone guess who the guy on the left is? That is the 9th and 10th wicket pair. Harbhajan was the guy in the center. The guy on the left was the wicketkeeper in that Indian team. His name is Samir Dige. Very few people would know him. In that final innings, Samir Dige made 22 runs, chasing 155. We were some 140 for 135, 140 for 8. Samir Dige made 22 runs. I think he made about 25 runs in his entire Test career. But those 22 runs in that final innings were possibly the most important runs of his life. And that won the Test match, it won the series, it made India the world champion. My point again, everyone has a role to play. In that team of superstars, Sachin, Saurav, Dravid, Lakshman, Samir Dige, who very little people know, had a role to play. Now, I was a midfielder to the latter stages of my career. I was a defender. In 180 matches for India over 8 years, I scored a total of 0 goals. And sometimes I wondered, those forwards, they got 10 chances, missed all of them, then got a 11th chance, scored 1 goal, and they got the headlines in the paper. While I was a defender, I made 10 great tackles, I made 1 mistake that resulted in a goal, I got galis in the newspaper the next morning. But sometimes, not everyone can be the hero. In a team, you will always have people with different skill sets. You will always have people who bring different skills to the table. And we need to know that, we need to understand that, and we need to take pride about what we bring to the table. My last thing is a very, very personal example. The greatest pleasure in life is to do things that people say that you cannot do. I think at some times in our life, for me, sure, people have always said, "Arey, 1 billion का population है, एक भी gold medal नहीं मिलता है." And I always think that, how difficult that could be. Until I myself went to play at the Olympics and I realized how tough that is. When I was a 12-year-old boy, I used to go for these summer hockey coaching camps in Mumbai. And I was this puny little guy, 4 feet nothing. I thought I was a very good player, but obviously one of my... this is a picture of the other 12-year-old boy, and that is the picture of me on the right-hand side. And you can see how small and short I was. And one day a coach, very senior coach, caught me by the scruff of the neck. And he told me, Viren, you're very good, you're very skillful, blah, blah, blah. But you'll never ever play big hockey in your life. And I told him, sir, why do you say I'll never play big hockey in my life? And he said, you're just too small, you're too tiny, your endurance is terrible. I had an asthma problem, my breathing was terrible, so my endurance was weak. And hockey by then had become a very power, physical sport. And I remember going home being very upset, because here was a young 12-year-old boy who thought he was very good, but obviously the coach thought differently. But the next day onwards, every single day I came to the hockey pitch, I started learning new skills. Every day I either learned a new skill on the hockey pitch or I improved on my existing skills. I started working on my fitness, my strength, my endurance. I started working on getting fitter, faster, stronger. And exactly 12 years later, I captained the Indian hockey team for the first time ever. And for me, I feel actually very lucky that there was this coach who one day told me that I could not do something, because maybe that day if he had to not tell me that, maybe I wouldn't have worked as hard as I did, as hard as I was supposed to get where I was supposed to be. And I just want to say that in life, I think the potential and possibilities are immense. It's wonderful to see the science conference. We have started an organization called Olympic Gold Quest, where we want to make a difference to Indian athletes, to actually help them win Olympic gold medals, to ensure that the same mistakes that were done during our time is not repeated for the next generation of athletes. Every single coach out there is really important. Whether a grassroots level coach, whether intermediate coach, whether an elite coach, you cannot say that one coach is more important than the other coach. The potential of everything that we do is really important. Each one of us has a role to impact lives. Each one of us has a role to show the pathway to young students. Each one of us has a role and a responsibility to inspire our kids today to push themselves to the limits. And at the end of the day, the choice is always ours. Because today when we walk out of this door in the evening, I think there will be many people who say in life that you can't do this and you can't do that. If there's one message that I want to leave with you all today, is that if we believe in ourselves, if we put our heart, our soul, if we work with the right team, I think we can do whatever we want in life.
I would like to welcome you by saying Maya Mogatso Yokar. There are so many dignitaries on the dais, but in the interest of time, I would like to formally welcome our Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Pramod Sawant, our Honorable Minister for Ayush and Minister of State for Defense, Mr. Sripad Naik, who heads a very important ministry for well-being of our citizens, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Varun Sahani, my dear friend and a role icon model who now heads OGQ and who will be your keynote speaker, Mr. Viren Raskina, and other dignitaries on the dais, and delegates from not only other parts of Goa, other parts of India, from all parts of the world. Again, a very, very warm welcome and namaste. At the outset, it's a real privilege, and I feel humbled to be extending a very warm welcome to you in the state of Goa, which is blessed with so much of nature. And I'm very glad that our own institution is able to co-host this with another college in Goa in a very important topic like holistic approach to development of sports, not only in competitive sports, but also sports as a way of life. I'll give you my own personal example. About 20 years back, when I lost my father, I was barely 28, 29 years of age. And it so happened that immediately when I lost my father, I had to take over the group. One of a very lucrative insurance agent then came and said, we must do your key man insurance, for which certain health parameters are required. So he took me to a doctor, and I had not even any time checked my blood pressure. I never worked out, never exercised, youngster, lifestyle issues, but never bothered to check. I found the blood pressure on my blood pressure monitor. It showed 155 by 105 at the age of 28. So that's the time I took a decision that health comes first and business comes later. And today, I would miss a business meeting, but I will not miss a 6 times a week workout regime. So just to let you know that we are amazed sometimes that in a billion population, we hardly have any medals in Olympics. And it's the basic culture. I went to Brazil and I saw for myself that when the kids join school first, for about 45 minutes they go to play. So that's the culture we need to imbibe in our own country, not only with the school curriculum, but also with the culture of the parents, because we are too stressed out about academics and we don't focus enough on sports and take it as a way of life. Our Honorable Prime Minister has come up very rightly with the Fit India movement. And our Honorable Minister, Mr. Sripad Naik, is supporting him very actively. You know now that the world over, International Yoga Day is celebrated. So that much of awareness has come into the yoga. In our own state, under the leadership of our dynamic Chief Minister, sports is now increasingly pursued as a way of life. And I'm glad to see that things are changing. Parents are taking more risk with their own children and say that sports can be one of the profession and can be one of the avenues where kids can move forward. I'm also very glad that a role icon model like Viren is here. Viren has captained the Indian team. He has played in the Athens Olympics of 2004 and has represented India. He is now doing another great task. He is preparing young boys and girls for Olympics. He is running an institute called the Olympic Gold Quest. I am very privileged to be a part of supporting this institution, but the work that he's doing is wonderful. You take the top 5 names in Indian sports today, they all belong to his institution. And this time, I think he's hopeful of winning much more Olympic medals than the last time. So all the best to you in this Olympics. I won't take much further time, but I would like to thank the state government, the union government for supporting this. The Honorable Chief Minister and the Honorable Minister for Ayush has been very, very cooperative in encouraging, and for you all, because you've come from all parts of the world. So I hope successful deliberations in the next 2 days, and may some positive outcome come out of this conference so that we increasingly become a more sporting, not only a nation, but a more sporting world. Thank you.
Honorable Chief Minister of Goa State, Honorable Union Minister of Ayush, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Goa University, Honorable Management Council Member of Dempo Institute, Honorable Principal of Dempo College and Government College, all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. At the outset, I, Dr. Pradeep Deshmukh, feel honored to be here as the President, National Association of Physical Education and Sports Sciences. On the behalf of Organized Committee of the Olympic Dawn, the Aegis 2020, I warmly welcome you all to the Scientific International Conference of Physical Education and Sports Sciences on Holistic Development for Excellence in Sports Performance, Health and Well-being. Friends, all of you are well aware of the fact that National Association of Physical Education and Sports Sciences has been striving hard for the welfare of sports fraternity for the last 26 years. It is a matter of pride to know that NAPAS has 1,200 plus life members from national as well as international sports society. So far, NAPAS has successfully organized such events at non-tourist places also. It is the third occasion in the history of the NAPAS to organize international conference at tourist places like Goa. It is an honest venture of the NAPAS to bring sports intellectuals together to provide platform to the academicians where they can exchange their knowledge, experience, and expertise regarding physical education and sports sciences. I feel it is an intellectual feast to all of us. It is an opportunity for all of us to share our ideas, views, and skills to accelerate this movement of physical education and sports sciences. It is an intellectual gathering. I too feel proud to be the part of such intellectuals. It is said that a company of intellectuals is as good as visiting the shop of perfume. Where you buy it or not, you are bonded to receive the fragrance. The NAPAS not only provide platform for deliberation on sports issues, but also enhances research culture. It publishes research of the sports academicians in the research journal to promote research in physical education and sports sciences, which benefits sports fraternity across the world. The NAPAS aims to promote international collaboration to provide international access for the welfare of the sports fraternity. The NAPAS has Memorandum of Understanding with International Council and Japanese Council. We intend to become funding agency in near future to provide financial assistance to the Higher Education Institute for the organization of national and international conferences and sports events. I am sure this conference will help to enrich the vision of global excellence in physical education and sports sciences. I appeal all the participants should feel free to exchange their innovative ideas on themes and sub-themes of the conference. To me, a sportsman should carry unlimited responsibility because it is believed that limited responsibility tires you, but unlimited responsibility empowers you. I am sure you will go back with the sense of empowerment of the self to quench the thirst of the sports society. We are not only professional, but also responsible citizens with the scientific temper. So let us support the nation building by making our students responsible citizens, which our motherland is striving for. If we take back the same message, I believe it is the success of this event. I am sure that the organizing committee has made a sincere attempt to arrange in well good manner. I hope all the large-hearted participants will encourage the organizers with sports spirit. Here, all the NAPAS members have the proud that Dr. GL Khanna is here with us with his busy schedule. Dr. GL Khanna has helped the organization in getting MOU with Japanese Society of Physical Education and Health and Sports Sciences. He also helped in getting recognition by International Council of Sports Sciences and Physical Education. I request Honorable Chief Minister, please felicitate Dr. GL Khanna on the behalf of this NAPAS. I request GL Khanna to come and get the felicitation.
I take the liberty of a few seconds to connect to my fellow Indians in a very special way. And so, to the Maharashtrians out here, aaple swagat ahe. To the Telugu-speaking people, meeku swagatam. To the Tamilian, kalai vanakkam. To the Malayali person here, vannukondu valaran nanni. To the Bengali, asa kori bhalo acho. And to the Manipuri, Yamna Nungai Jare. To add the French touch, bonjour monsieur, bonjour madame. And to the rest of you out here, a very good morning. This is your co-host, Anita Jacob, Associate Professor, Department of English, Government College of Sankili. And I hope each one of you is here basking in the grandeur of this moment as you witness the inaugural ceremony of the most happening event, the Scientific International Conference in Physical Education and Allied Science. I would request Dr. Gervasio Mendes, the Principal of Government College Sankili, to please come forward to introduce the Vice Chancellor of Goa University to all of us. Sir.
Dignitaries on and off the days, invitees, members from the media, and delegates. A very good morning to all of you. Government College Sankili and SS Demko College of Commerce and Economics, the co-host of this international conference, are affiliated to the Goa University. Therefore, as the principal of one of the host colleges, I am privileged to introduce to you one of the patrons of this conference and the Vice Chancellor of Goa University, Professor Varun Sahani. Professor Sahani is not new to the responsible position of the Vice Chancellor, having served as the 10th Vice Chancellor of the University of Jammu from December 2008 to January 2012. Professor in International Politics at JNU, we are blessed to have him as the Vice Chancellor of Goa University on deputation from his parent organization. An INLACS scholar, his doctoral dissertation at the University of Oxford in 1991 was on the potential role of the Argentine Navy. He is a regular speaker at the National Defense College and at the Foreign Service Institute, New Delhi. Professor Sahani has carved a niche for himself in the academic world through his more than 100 scholarly research articles on nuclear deterrence, regional security, emerging balances in Asia-Pacific, evolving security concepts, emerging powers, international relations theory, and Latin American issues. He is a visiting professor at well-known universities in Mexico City, Washington, D.C., and Canberra. He has been a jury member of the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for International Understanding. He has co-authored recently Technology Vision 2035 for Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council, TIFAC, the technology think tank of the Government of India, and has stressed on the need for improvement of India's socio-economic status, e-governance, energy and habitat, and improvements in health and education in that document. He was conferred the prestigious V.K. Rao Prize in Social Sciences in 2006 by the Indian Council for Social Science Research, ICSSR, for his, and I quote, outstanding contribution to research and teaching, unquote. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor is fluent in many languages, and I'm sure Konkani is going to be added to that list in a short while. We are happy to have our Vice Chancellor with us here today, not only as our academic guru, but also as a practitioner and lover of sports. His resolve to take Goa University to newer heights in sports has already become contagious among the sporting fraternity in the Goa University system. Besides, he is an avid water sports enthusiast, not missing any opportunity to indulge in his passion as and when he is able to pull himself away from his busy schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to Professor Varun Sahani, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Goa University and patron of the conference. Thank you.
Comes to the mic and just says, all dignities are observed, all courtesies are observed, and then the speech begins. But somehow we have come into this ritual now of mentioning everybody by name. So since we are here, I will mention everybody by name, but I think that we should now, move to some other kind of system. Honorable Minister of State for Ayush and for Defense, Government of India, Shripad Yasu Naik. Honorable Chief Minister of Goa, Dr. Pramod Pandurang Sawant. Sri Srinivas Dempo, Chairman, Dempo Group of Companies and Trustee, Dempo Charities Trust. CEO of Olympic Gold Quest, and somebody who has been, in fact, one of my heroes for many years, although he doesn't know it, Sri Viren Raskina, a Registrar of Goa University, Professor Y.V. Reddy, the two distinguished principals who are together co-organizing this event, Principal Radhika Naik of SS Dempo College, and Principal Gervasio Mendes of the Government College, Sankali. Sri V.M. Prabhudesai, Executive Director, Sports Authority of Goa. Dr. Pradeep Deshmukh, President of NAPES. Dr. Chinnappa Reddy, former President of NAPES. Distinguished delegates from overseas and from India. Faculty colleagues, student friends, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted that two really top-notch colleges of the Goa University system are collaborating in the organization of this scientific international conference on physical education and allied sciences. The timing is perfect. The national games are upon us. Goa is gearing up to organize what I'm sure will be a spectacular national games this year. Goa is a sports-obsessed state, has always been a sports-obsessed state, and I'm sure that what we will put up is going to be absolutely one of the most spectacular national games. Although national games in Hyderabad, etc., have been very, very well organized as well. I think when we think about the Olympic movement, it's worth recalling, it's worth remembering that Olympic Games are given to cities, not countries. And there's a reason for that. Olympic Games are given to cities because cities symbolize peace. And it was right from the beginning of the Olympic movement, right from 1896, the emphasis has always been on having a host city. Even when there was an entire region hosting the Olympics like Albertville, rather than to go and focus on a particular country. And that is because when you sort of you give the Olympics to a particular country, the understanding was that it would encourage a type of unhealthy competition. Now, whether we like it or not, Olympic prowess has become linked to national identity in a very fundamental way. And most Indian citizens rejoice in the fact that over the last 3 Olympics in particular, our performance as a country has steadily increased. Although we also recognize that a country of our continental dimensions really has many more miles to go before it actually hits and is actually punching at its own weight class. There are some very important reasons why in the education system we should encourage the practice of sports. And the most compelling reason, of course, is that sports is the healthiest way to have fun. Sports promotes individual fitness. Sports promotes public health. And it doesn't matter what one's preferred physical activity is, whether it is walking or jogging, whether it is yoga or aerobics, whether it is golf or kabaddi, it doesn't matter. Sports are at their most beneficial when they become a part of one's life, when sports becomes, physical activity becomes a part of one's identity. Through sports, and for those of us who are in education, through sports one can teach and learn some of the most significant lessons about life, about striving to win, yet being graceful in defeat, about team spirit and giving your all for the group, about the importance of competitiveness, diligence, discipline, and hard work, about sacrificing current comfort for future success and joy, and about the importance of strategy and mental strength. Any system of education that does not privilege sports is, to my mind, and I have written about this, fundamentally unsound. And I think it's extremely important for us, those who are in leadership positions in our institutions of learning, to really make a serious effort to give our students an opportunity, a safe outlet for their energies, a safe outlet for their competitive and combative instincts. To not do so, I believe, is potentially dangerous for society. I wish all the delegates a very productive conference. We hope you have some time to enjoy our beautiful state, to enjoy its red soils and its verdant greens and the blues of its waters. And we hope that you'll, having come to Goa, keep coming back to Goa.
A very good morning to all the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and ladies and gentlemen. I congratulate organizers of the Scientific International Conference Olympic Down Ages 2020, the Depot Commerce College and the Government College of Santli. I am also glad that the Directorate for Higher Education is supporting this conference because it is dealing with a subject that has caught the attention of everybody, right from our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji. He has rightly understood the importance of the young India being a fit India if we have to benefit from the demographic dividend that India is fortunate to have. This engaged population will serve to realize the aspiration of the country as a whole only and only if they are healthy and fit. Serving the nation through the Ministry of Ayush has given me the privilege of popularizing the yoga. The world has recognized the efficiency of yoga in healing not only the body but also in mind. From being just a form of exercise, it has evolved into becoming a way of life, in fact, a healthy way of life. So much so that the world now celebrates the International Day of Yoga. People of the world over acclaim the healing power of yoga. Yoga has proven to be a powerful instrument for the holistic healing and development. This three-day conference will focus on holistic development for excellence in sports performance. It is really a big challenge for our nation to train our sport persons by identifying the talent at a young age and nurturing this talent with the best facilities, techniques, and equipment. Private stakeholders such as the Reliance Foundation and the central government initiative such as Khelo India at a school and university level competition are all aimed at catching them young to ensure holistic development for excellence in sports. Of course, health and well-being are also important component to ensure such holistic development for excellence in sports performance, and reiterate, yoga can indeed provide many answers. In Goa, responsible corporates such as Dempo's groups do more than their share to support the talent of sports person and ensure that they can avail all the necessary opportunity to hone their skill and perform their best. On its parts, the government of Goa has also encouraged the sporting boys and girls by spelling out as a sports policy which permits the earning of marks for participation and performance in the sports event. Hosting of sporting events such as the Lusophonia Games or national games to be hosted later in this year all signal good times for the sports in Goa. I would also like to commend the organizer for organizing this conference, Olympic Down the Age 2020, in the year that the Olympic are to be organized in Japan. As a president of Goa Olympic Association, I am happy that awareness regarding the Olympic is being propagated from this platform. I am happy to be at this conference for several reasons. I am happy to see that more than 400 delegates have come to this conference being held in our state. I wish the delegates a pleasant stay in Goa, and more importantly, I wish you all the 3 days of fruitful discussion and deliberation. Thanking you very much for inviting me here. Jai Hind, Jai Gomantak, Deo Barekar.
The Namaste is famous not in India, but Namaste is famous in United States. The Namaste Trump. As you know, the Trump has taken not only the yoga, but he had also taken the Fit India movement to the America, which is started by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in India, which is the Fit India movement. The Olympics Down the Ages 2020, the Scientific International Conference on the Physical Education and Allied Science. For this inaugural function, along with me, our Honorable Minister for the Ayush, then Sripad Ji Naik, amongst us, Sri Srinivas Dempo, the Chairman of the Dempo Charitable Trust, the Professor Varun Sahani, the Honorable, he is the Vice Chancellor for the Goa University, Viren Resikvina, and Radhika Naik, Dr. Mendes, then Mr. Reddy, then V.R. Reddy, Dr. Pradeep Deshmukh, all the dignitaries on the dais, the dignitaries among the audience, my brothers and sisters. As you know, the Olympics Down the Ages 2020, which is organized by the Dempo Charitable Trust, Dempo College of the government, Dempo College and the Government College Sakli, which is from my own hometown, Sakli Government College. Interestingly, it is neither of the colleges is having the physical education college. In the collaboration and association with the Director of Higher Education of my government, the topics that is very seriously concerned, how we can excellence in the sports performance through the holistic development of the individual is the question that is being debated at every time of the sports person and completely at the international level. In fact, the sports and sports performance has become such a specialized area that there is indeed coordinated efforts by many professionals to ensure the enhancement in the quality of the performance. Being in a medical background, and I confidently say that the medically itself, there are the more than 8 to 10 areas which is the specialization in the sports. For example, the sports anatomy, sports physiology, sports management, sports biomechanics and kinesiology, the sports medicine, sports community development and sports training, etc., which is required. I'm impressed to see that there are the 300 scientific papers being presented in this conference, besides the additional sessions which is going to be conducted by the experts, resource persons who has come from the abroad and the different part of the country. You all are aware that Goa is being very much sporting and loving state, as that there is many of us that love football. As you know, our Honorable Chairman, V.S. Dempo, he has his own football club, and which is very passionate to that. The Dempo football clubs, Churchill football clubs, and many other football clubs are here. As the parents are now giving the training in various sports, as the swimming, squash, tennis, and also in the team sports like the cricket. But I'm happy about that I can observe that definitely the shift of the attitude of the parent themselves. And they encourage the children to concentrate on the sports and without insisting them only on the studies. I remember that there are the used to saying the Hindi lines. It is an padhoge, likhoge to banoge nawab, kheloge, kudoge to ho jaoge kharab. But gone are the days that today the sportsmen are all well, it is remunerated. And as we know, there are the reserve quota for the sports persons in the various categories, not only in the job, but in the different categories there is a reserve quotas for the sports persons. As you know, we are organizing the national games from the 20th October to the 4th of November. We are well equipped with all the infrastructure which is required for the national games. I invite all of you for the not only the inaugural function, but to participate in the national games which are starting from the 20th of October in the state of Goa. So with this, I won't speak much because as you know, there is an Zilla Panchayat elections that are announced in the state. So it is, I can't speak something, an announcement on the sports, and the announcement on the policy matter. But I'll request, as all of you are from the sports category, so it is very difficult for you to sit for the 2 hours idle. So I request all of you to please stood up and give round of applause for the organizers, for the Government College Sakle and the Dempo Charitable Trust. So it is well organized. This is the first time they organize this type of well much conference, the international conference in the state of Goa. So it is a proud moment for me being the patron of this conference. Thank you, one and all. Enjoy the conference and also enjoy the Goa. Thank you.